Testing, testing. Yes. Okay, I'm there. Oh shit. Am I on? God dang. I am so stupid with this computer crap. Okay, if I'm on, and I'm never on, I'm always turned off personally. Anyway, I wanted to do this video. I've been wanting to do these videos for the last few months. This is on the Mormon songbook. Now, these are the songs that Mormons sing in everywhere. They'll sing them in primary, they'll sing them in sacrament meeting, they'll sing them in Relief Society, they'll sing them, sometimes I've been in the temple, the chapel in the temple many times will open with certain songs. So these songs are over and over. Now, you know, I got a 13-year-old. God dang. She knows every hip-hop song that was ever invented, and she knows every word, and she's a great little dancer. What I'm saying is repetition is repetition. I mean, I don't care if you're a 13-year-old with hip-hop. I don't care if you're a 55-year-old or a 20 or 30-year-old in the Mormon church. I have heard these songs for over 50 years. I just listened to the Mormon Tabernacle Choir sing this song, and of course the choir is a beautiful choir. I don't look at the faces because I don't want to see the one black guy that looks like a fish out of water with the other 200 and some white and delightsome people. But I'm going to go over this song, and I have to wear my glasses and be extra ugly because I had to print it out on my computer. All right. The song is Praise to the Man, okay? Now, this song has been a stalwart, foundational song in every period of my life, everywhere in the Mormon church. I'm not going to have a Mormon write into me and say, oh, we never sing that song, because they know they do all the time. Now, I want you to be aware of the subliminal cult techniques that are used by cults. And I'm saying that the Mormon church uses a lot of cult tactics, and I believe that they're a cult. You may not. I'm the devil. I'm reading the internet, and I'm reading the internet on the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, so I don't know how devilish that could be. All right, let me read to you the phraseology of this song, and then let me just make a few comments. Praise to the man who communed with Jehovah. Praise, is that kind of like worshiping? Hey, lay, oh God, hear the, you know, what is that? Praise to the man? Okay, that is a little bit Jesus-like. Praise to the man who communed with Jehovah. In other words, they're buddies. They're buddies. Jesus anointed that prophet and seer. Jesus anointed? I don't know what that means. I don't know if they put holy oil on him like they did in the temple for me. Anointment usually means holy oil, and they touch your face and your hair and your boobs and your stomach. Okay? Blessed to open the last dispensation. Okay? Now these are magic words for Mormons. Catholics also believe in the millennium. But the Mormons believe that there's 7 dispensations, and Jesus will be the last one. He'll come to Jackson County, Missouri. I think he has condo property there. I don't know. I've been in Jackson County, Missouri. I lived in Blue Springs, Missouri, and I was there. I saw the reorganized, they have a new name now, the reorganized church that had a tabernacle there, and the reorganized church built a temple there right next to the temple lot that the Mormon church is supposed to build a temple on. So I don't know if they're going to have a walkway between them like at City Creek Mall where you can go from the reorganized temple to the LDS. I don't know. One night, my ward asked me and my son to guard the movie set that they were using for a production the next day. So my son and I laid on the lawn and slept all night and watched I guess for Satan, because you know there's just not a lot of people in that area. But anyway, he's opening the last dispensation. Okay, kings. Now I don't know if that's Saddam Hussein or the kings in Saudi Arabia and other places. I don't know if that's England. Maybe, there's not many kings left on the earth. And after the Arab summer, there are less than there were. Kings shall extol him. I guess that means worship and bow down to him and just say how great he is. And nations revere. Now, okay, nations revere. That means that there's going to be all over the world, okay, nations that just say, Joesph Smith, Joesph Smith, help us find 14-year-old 8th grade girls to marry. I don't see that happening. I'm not sure this is prophecy, and maybe the Mormons, after they see this video, they'll say, well, William W. Phelps, he was speaking as a man. Every time they get screwed for what they say and do, they always go, he was speaking as a man. He was not speaking as a servant of the Lord. So I don't see a lot of kings right now extolling him and nations, countries worshiping Joesph Smith. Okay, now here's the chorus. Okay, this chorus usually goes in between each group of phrases. Hail to the prophet, ascended to heaven. So there's no doubt he went to heaven in the Mormons' ideas and doctrine. Traitors and tyrants now fight him in vain. Well, let me tell you something. The Nauvoo expositor, I think William Bennett, the doctor, but I know what law, both owned the Nauvoo expositor. And they were going to print the next day all of the sexual shenanigans of Joesph Smith. And there were plenty of people in Nauvoo that didn't want him marrying their 14-year-olds. And there were plenty of people that were upset that he married 10 married women. And there were a lot of local people that just thought Joesph Smith was an unusual man. Let me be politically correct here. So the traitors and the tyrants that shot him in Carthy's jail were members of the church. They weren't people in Missouri that just hated Mormons. It's very similar to Kirtland, Ohio, when he took the Mormon people's money and gave them the Kirtland Monetary Exchange Fund. That's not the right term, but anyway, he gave them monopoly money in place of gold and silver. Well, the old Ponzi scheme has been there since the beginning. Joesph is king of Ponzi. Well, he promised these people big returns on their money and tried to get them to use his monopoly money. Well, that went over like shit in Kirtland. So the members of the church, not the traitors and the tyrants, the members of the church chased his ass out of Kirtland. This guy is used to running. He's like Batman, or maybe the Lone Ranger, which none of you have heard of because you're too young to watch this. But he always has a horse ready. It's like the Pony Express. So when things get too hot, the Music Man, again, you guys are just too young to understand some of these phrases, but the Music Man, he always had his bags packed and a train coming after he ripped the town off for a boys band. So anyway, Joesph, after he got arrested and convicted of fraud in New York, and they found the papers on that now. Just in the last 7 or 8 months, they've found in the basement of the New York courthouse Joesph Smith's court hearing. And he was found guilty of fraud. And they gave him what they called in those days, and I've laughed about this on other videos, leg bail. In other words, it's not money bail, it's leg bail. And I'm kind of stupid. I thought, well, gee, what do they do? Cut one leg off and the guy has to give it to the court for leg bail? Well, I looked it up on the computer. On the computer, and what happened is it said that leg bail is when the judge says to you, I want your ass out of this county as fast as you can and don't come back. Well, there's Joesph. He didn't have a horse. He's just running like hell out of New York. Well, he was running like hell out of Kirtland because the members of the church were pissed. They gave him money and he ran. Well, after he burned the Nauvoo expositor in the middle of the night there in Nauvoo, he was the mayor of Nauvoo, and the mayor ordered it or condemned it as a public nuisance, and then he ordered people to go down and burn up this public newspaper. Well, he had his horse ready. And the next day, he jumped on that horse because evidently Governor Boggs, who gave Joesph the charter for the city of Nauvoo, was pissed. He goes, how can the head of the militia, the mayor of the town, burn the city press? Well, Joesph thought it was a good idea, just like seeing Jesus and God was a good idea, because he didn't have to treasure hunt anymore. He had gold plates. He put the seer stone and the top hat on the shelf, and he just kept taking the money from the mansion house from the people, which he built a bar in because he said, "Oh, I'm a hotel." Marriott could worship this guy. So anyway, the traitors and the tyrants don't exist, only in the Mormon's mind. Johnson's army was coming across to put down Mormonism because Brigham Young was an ass, and Brigham buried the foundation of the Salt Lake Temple, and the Mormons snuck out in the desert and took the wagon wheels off of Johnson's army and whatever. The Mormons think that the world is against them. And let me tell you, the world is the truth. That's the only thing that is against. I'm not against the Mormons. You know, it's like the Quakers. Who would slap the shit out of a Quaker? They're gentle people. They don't knock on your door. Yeah, they dress a little funny. They don't have electricity. They're not in the modern society, but they leave people alone. They don't put billboards up, and I'm a Quaker. Along I-15 here in Utah. They don't have a mass public relations campaign in the millions and millions of dollars photographing supposedly normal Mormons and saying, I'm a surfer and I'm a typical Mormon, and putting out that kind of PR. The Quakers, the Mennonites, other religions, even the FLDS, they don't bother anybody. They don't bother anybody. I had a friend that was the manager of Walmart down in St. George, or Hurricane, Utah, down by St. George. And he said, you know, Walmart stocked extra material for sewing and food because the polygamists out of Colorado City would quietly come into town. They would buy their food and buy their clothing so they could sew their dresses, and they left in peace. They don't knock on your door. They don't put up any kind of Warren Jeff posters. You can't even drive along our freeway without seeing the Salt Lake Temple sign and come and visit, and oh, it's a tourist attraction. It's not religious. So the traitors and the tyrants are in here of the Mormons. None of us hate the Mormons. They're funny, funny people. If they would just make a few of those little fireplaces like the Mennonites do and sell them and not steal your tithing money, we'd leave them alone. But they won't leave us alone. They're trying to inject themselves into the mainstream of American society. And that's a round peg in a square hole. It's never going to fit. So the traitors and the tyrants, they think I'm a traitor and a tyrant. I'm not a traitor. If you can't convince me in 50 years that you're telling the truth, 100 years is not going to make a difference. 1,000 years is not going to make a difference. So the traitors and the tyrants and all the people that are running after the Mormons actually are Joesph Smith running out of Kirtland, running out of Missouri, running out of Nauvoo. He was in Liberty Jail. I've been in Liberty Jail. I sat there where Joesph Smith sat, and the Mormons have that as a recreation site or as a tourist site. I've been in Carthage jail where he was. In fact, I made a whole summer of Mormon history just going to the jails that Joesph Smith was in. So he was on a horse riding out of town, and Mormon history will tell you this. The Mormons won't deny this at all. He jumped on a horse to ride out of Nauvoo after he burned the press down, And the Mormons came up to him and said, you know, what the heck? If you're not willing to stand up for anything, you look like a coward running out of town. And Joesph looked down off his horse, I guess. And the story is, he said, well, if my life has no value to my friends, it has no value to me. I go like a lamb to the slaughter. It sounded like Jeffrey Dahmer going into court. I ate a lot of people. It's going to be hard. I'm going like a lamb to the slaughter. Well, he lied. He cheated. He was convicted in court, I think 3 or 4 times of fraud and seer stone and you know, taking people's money. He never had a legitimate job in his whole damn life. It sounds like President Hinckley, President Gordon B., the Hinkster. He never had a job other than the railroad for just a year or so when he was very young. The rest of the time he lived off the members' tithing in the church. So the traitors and tyrants, they don't exist. Only in the Mormons' head. And they continue to think there's traitors and tyrants that are after them. The only thing that is after them is the truth. And yes, it can be a very large thing chasing you, especially with the internet. You can't lie anymore. Okay, well, let's see what else they talk about Joesph. And they sing this song, and I mean, you know, you could put drums and a band behind it. The Tabernacle Choir sounded wonderful. Here we go. Traitors and tyrants, now fight him in vain, so they can't get him anymore. Okay, I guess the Nauvoo Expositor building can't chase him anymore and publish what kind of a man he really was. He is mingling with gods. He can plan for his brethren. Is that a little bit subliminal, like Jesus? He's mingling with gods, plural. He can plan for his brethren. In other words, he's planning for us. He died. And he is the leader of the last dispensation. He's like Jesus. Subliminal, but it's there. Death cannot conquer the hero again. Isn't that interesting? I think the only religion in the world, correct me if I'm wrong, believes that someone came alive again was Christ. That is a Christian doctrine, that Jesus was raised from the dead. So, death cannot conquer the hero again. Little bit cultish, little bit subliminal. Doesn't matter how subliminal, but it's there. And if you sing that thousands of times, it's solidly there. Okay, praise to his memory. He died as a martyr. He didn't die as a martyr, my friends. He died as a criminal who broke and entered and destroyed property and was guilty of a felony, and he was trying to ride out of town, not on his leg bail, the leg bail of his horse. It was much faster. Joesph always had the fastest horses in the state. And by God, he needed them. Okay. Honored and blessed be his ever great name. Well, that's okay if the Mormons want to honor him and bless him and praise his great name. That's okay. But be upfront, Mormons. Be upfront and tell the world that you are going to praise him and you do worship Joesph Smith and you try to make Joesph very, very Jesus-like. It's okay. It's your religion. Do it the way you wanted. Honored and blessed be his ever great name. Well, you guys decide for yourself. I think that Mitt Romney, and of course these tapes are being produced here at the end of 2011 and the beginning of 2012, and Mitt Romney is the one that's running for the president. Joesph Smith ran for president, and I think Mitt and Joesph are going to meet the same fate, okay? I'm not a prophet. Joesph was. Joesph was the prophet. I don't think that honored and blessed be his ever great name, maybe among the Mormons, but not among the world. Long shall his blood, which was shed by assassins. Okay, first of all, it was not shed by assassins. Joesph had a gun in in Carthage jail. And when they ran up the staircase to, I don't know if they're going to beat him up or whatever, he put that gun through the door. I've been there. I've been in Carthage jail, and it's a wood door. And when he opened that wood door, he stuck his hand through there with the gun, and he shot, I think, 3 times. He killed one and seriously wounded another person, and the other one, I think, was seriously hurt or missed. So you know, he wasn't a great shot either. But anyway, they weren't assassins. They were people in the community who were just pissed off that were Mormons. There wasn't, the only people that knew his ass was in jail at Carthage were the Mormons. There was no TV, there was no cable, there were no telephones. How would all the Missourians know that Joesph Smith is in jail? Nauvoo knew he was in jail. And Nauvoo knew he was headed for horse leg bail. And the members of the church came, and I guess they were going to kill him or shoot him or try to get their money back. I don't know. It may have been the husbands of the 30 women that he married. That's all it would take to kill him in Carthage. Now, long shall his blood, which was shed by assassins. Now watch. Watch, people. Did Jesus, your Jesus in Christianity, did he shed his blood for the sins of the world? Of course, that's a common phrase in Christianity. He shed his blood. And when he was in Gethsemane, I think the story is that he shed blood from every pore of his body. Well, here's Joseph. So it's like Joseph and Jesus are like this, and Joseph's on top. So this is subliminal. This is subliminal cult stuff. Long shall his blood, which was shed by assassins, plead unto heaven while the earth lauds his fame. Okay? Now, please, don't believe me. Don't believe me. Go look on the internet and look under Brigham Young and the blood atonement. Okay? Brigham Young taught very strongly, and most of the early part of the church, other prophets taught, that if you do certain things, the only way for you to repent is to have your blood fall on the ground. That it is the only way to get any kind of forgiveness or repentance. So the blood atonement was very popular during Brigham Young's administration of the Mormon Church. And here in Utah, we're the only state that has the firing squad for capital punishment. So your blood will spill on the ground. So, you know, are these things connected? You decide. I've already decided. Okay. So, long shall his blood, which was shed by assassins, like the people who crucified Jesus, I guess, were assassins. Great is his glory and endless his priesthood. Kind of sounds like Jesus again to me. Doesn't sound like an ordinary man. And I don't know what his priesthood is. I don't even know what that is anymore. That whole concept has gone over my head. Ever and ever the keys he will hold. Now, I put a video on it. Maybe some of you see it, some of you don't. About the keys, the Mormon phrase keys, which means he is in charge of everything and everybody. He has the keys to get you into heaven. And if you don't praise this man and worship this man, like the song says, it's a threat. He has the keys and you don't have anything. Nothing. Joseph has your keys. Okay? Ever and ever, the keys he will hold. Ooh. You're never going to get those keys, no matter how much you pull them on. Ever and ever. Eternal keys. That's what Mormons believe, okay? Joseph is your only way into the celestial kingdom. And the Mormons have been so brash. One of the prophets, I can't think of what book it's in, but it's written that Joesph Smith has done more for the salvation of man more than anyone else other than Jesus. I think they're trying to make Joseph and Jesus brothers here. But anyway, that is a common phrase in the Mormon church, that Joesph Smith, only Jesus is a little more powerful than he is. Faithful and true, he will enter his kingdom. Now, he's not entering Jesus' kingdom. You see why people say this is not a Christian church. They worship Joesph Smith. Well, let the song speak for itself. The Mormons can say, oh, no, we believe in Jesus. We believe in, we're Christians. They can do that all they want. Look at their song that they sing. Okay? Faithful and true, he will enter his kingdom, not the kingdom of the Lord. Crowned in the midst of the prophets of old. In other words, he's the head prophet. He's over Moses. He's over Abraham. He's over all of the early apostles and prophets of the Old and New Testament. Paul, whatever. So, he will receive a crown of glory over all of these other prophets. Doesn't sound to me like a very humble man, but anyway, Now, here is the one that just, if it doesn't scream to you tithing, you may have an IQ in the single digits, okay? Here's their last phrases here. Sacrifice brings forth the blessings of heaven. Now, what is this other secret phrase that the Mormons use about tithing? It will open the windows of heaven and give you blessings that are so great you can't even accept them. You can't even take those blessings in. Now think of these two phrases, how close they are and how cleverly they're planned. Sacrifice, which means don't feed your kids, don't buy them braces. For God's sake, send that damn tithing money up to Monson for his Lear jet that's $1,000 an hour for jet fuel. You sacrifice. The leaders are not sacrificing. I've seen their offices. I've been in the church office building. I've been in the Salt Lake Temple. I was married in the Salt Lake Temple. One of my wives and I were married in the Salt Lake Temple. I've seen how these leaders live. I followed Hinckley one day, the Hinkster, up to the University of Utah. He just happened to be in the traffic, but he had half of the Utah National Guard in front of him and behind him because I think people wanted to kill him. After he bought the salamander letter, which didn't exist, maybe there were many people. He might have been on leg bail too. I don't know. Sacrifice brings forth the blessings of heaven. Earth must atone for the blood of that man. Doesn't the word atone and atonement fit Jesus? Isn't that the main foundation of Christians? That they believe that Jesus atoned for the sins of all mankind and he is the Savior of the world? Well, that's what most Christians think. And why would Christians say that this is a cult? Well, earth must atone for the blood of that man. He's like little Jesus, little Jesus. Wake up the world for the conflict of justice. Now, here's what I told you. If you looked at my other videos at all, and most of you only probably look at one and go, screw it, I'm out of here. That's okay. I don't care because I'm doing this for my therapy and my posterity. Mormons don't know anything but fight. They've only been trained to fight. Everybody is against us. Everyone hates us. And Satan is making the internet hate us. Well, that's cult. That's cult. No one hates the Mormons. I don't hate the Mormons. I don't hate the Mormon church. I don't like deceit and lying and taking innocent people's money. I say that all the time. I don't hate the Mormons, and I don't think there's a big group out there that hates the Mormons. There's just a large part of society that go, hey, be more like the Quakers and the Mennonites. Don't knock on our doors. If it's your religion, live it. Live it. It's the United States. Live it, but don't make us live it. Don't make us your liquor laws. Don't make us your non-smoking laws. Don't make us part of your religion by voting us out in Utah. Well, be that as it may, here we go. The conflict of justice. In other words, jihad. You know, if you want to, and I didn't know much about Muslims until 9/11, and I'm no expert. I know a little bit about the Quran and Muhammad, and he was a prophet for the. I know that there's billions and billions of Muslims on the earth. There's 4 million Mormons, and the numbers don't even begin to compare. But I'm old. Sometimes I forget where I am. Okay. So anyway, wake up the world. Oh, the conflict of justice. There is no conflict of justice. You Mormons that are looking at my tapes, which have 50, and well, now it's 68% of the females in Utah are my demographics. I'm dumbfounded. How did it go from 9, 12, 13% to 68% of females looking at these ugly videos? Well, maybe their husbands went to work and they're clicking and going, hey, I didn't know that. Well, I didn't know it either until someone taught me. So, jihad, this is the Mormon jihad, and this is what I've said, and I've got a video on Mitt Romney, the revenge of the Mormons. I'm telling you, this song right here proves it. This is jihad for Mormonism, not jihad for Muslims. Millions shall know Brother Joesph again. Well, maybe that's a true statement, because I think what's going on with Mitt Romney right now running for the presidency of the United States is there's many, many people, millions, that are going to know Brother Joesph again, his shenanigans, his sexual deviance, his not working a day in his life, peeking into rocks and hats and deceiving millions of innocent people. So there's one of the songs. I'm going to do some more, Follow the Prophet and We Thank Thee, O God, for a Prophet. This is just one of the cult songs that they sing. And they sing these songs, I'm gonna go back on my 50 years in the church. They sing these songs probably 4 to 5 times more than they ever sing anything about Jesus. There are some songs about Jesus in their hymn book, but these are the songs that are chosen to be sung by the people and by the cult leaders. I think that the other songs, although they are sung, I do remember singing some of those songs, I think they're there for show. I think they're there for show. Because when you go to classes and when you go to Sunday school and priesthood and high priest meeting, there are no lessons generally on Jesus. They're always on modern day prophets, Joesph Smith, and the Book of Mormon. That is so key to keeping these people bottled up and traumatized in the Mormon church that they don't dare look to the left, look to the right, think, or ask questions. So there's the song, Praise to the Man, Joesph Smith.